All right, team players, thanks for joining us on another DFS episode this Friday. It's chilly here where we're living in Pennsylvania. The fall colors are out, so help us fall into some wins, hopefully, this week with our DFS lineups. Let's get it started.
Welcome to Local Football Flavor, where we talk to local fans to get the real information of what's going on with their team. Yeah, and welcome back, all the team players. So Bob, let's get into it here.
All right, I want to try something different this week.
I'm listening.
I suggest, because we have some really good intel on a lot of different players, but we've been kind of curmudgeonly just putting various players in different pieces in some of the lineups that we've been making, and we've been kind of almost foolhardily not putting certain players in to maximize lineups because we put them into other lineups. So if we think a player is really going to go off, I say we try to fit them into as many lineups as we possibly can.
Well, we're going to have to limit that to only, 2 players or so. So looking at the full league here, what matchup do you like the most? Because I have someone that I'm loving. It's probably not going to be cheap, but I have someone that I'm loving.
There's a couple players, and we can talk about them.
All right.
The best. But I had to make them on my phone here, so I'm going to be looking down for just a moment.
That's fine.
All right. So there's a group of players that I really like, headlined by Cincinnati's offense. Burrow and Chase are definitely 2 components that I think could really knock it out of the park this week. Another player that I think could be a potential big play day is Kenneth Walker. That's another guy that I was looking at and thinking about as the week has gone on. And I have another player here outside of some of those big name guys. I took a screenshot of it this morning. I gotta find it again. Maybe I didn't. Oh, here it is. Also thinking about Saquon Barkley. And also thinking about Waddle, Pickens, and CeeDee Lamb. These players that I've just mentioned have some really, really good matchups. Now, some of them aren't priced to fit in a lot of lineups, but I think the guy that could help you in a lot of lineups this week would be George Pickens, for the sheer fact that Miami's defense is really not doing so swell. Claypool had a really great game the other day, but I've heard talks, that they're, maybe wanting to get rid of him. They might even.
Well, the reason he had a great day was Freiermuth was out. He took.
Yeah, they might even showcase him more. Freiermuth's health is again in question.
No, he's playing.
Okay, so I mean, I can see George Pickens as being as 5,500 value. Those are just some names that I was thinking about this week to go along with.
Well, the reason I like the Pickens
as well.
So I like Pickens, especially at the 55 number. But I like him overall as just maybe a flex 2 type guy this week for a regular league. And the reason is because almost 100% Xavier Howard is going to be on Johnson, Steelers' number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
And with Johnson having already got into a major fight 10 minutes before Trubisky got benched with Trubisky, I can see the Pickens being the target. Now, there's also, I didn't hear the report because it won't come out until after we're done recording today, unless it leaked, about whether or not Kenny Pickett passed the concussion test or not. That normally doesn't get released till the end of the day. But if Pickett loves Pickens, like those two have a really good connection. I think of the receivers, I think Pickens is going to have the least challenging defense against him in terms of no Xavier Howard on him. And I already think he's a personal favorite. I think he's an ascending player. I think he's the one that overall for the Steelers, I would probably want to play of the receiving core. So I'm all for starting that lineup off.
And the other 2 guys that I was looking at this week, actually 3 guys. To go along with CeeDee Lamb, thinking about the other Dallas
But we
players,
can't use the Steelers anyway. They're the night game.
Oh, yeah, I guess not.
Yeah.
How
weird
game.
Is that?
But also thinking about Dallas as well. Now, if you trust, whether you trust Dallas or not, both of the running backs, Zeke and Pollard, are priced around, I believe, 6,900 or like 6,300, somewhere in there. And they're playing the Lions. And with Dak coming back, I'm not sure if they're going to just have Dak air the ball out or if they're going to ease him into it and go more with run-heavy game here with a lot of checkdowns. I think there could be a lot of value in those two players. So those are just the guys that I'm thinking about that that are priced at a price point, most of them, other than Tyreek Hill.
That's your values you're happy with.
That are priced at a price point that you could probably sneak them into a lot of lineups. And it would probably look pretty decent.
Well, there's a major team that you neglected there.
Oh, J.K. Dobbins is out 4 to 6 weeks.
Well, that would imply that Drake is the dude, and the Drake went off last week. As I said on Tuesday, and I stand by this, Cleveland's defense is imploding. I would like to only Raven be Lamar, but I would like to put Lamar in because I think Lamar is going to run like crazy on them.
I see that.
But he's expensive, so he might be hard to work in.
I see that, but for the same reason that you just said about Lamar.
I love Drake, the Burrow. I love the Burrow chase.
Drake is probably really cheap. Drake is probably sitting maybe at 6,100, maybe at 5,900, 6,600.
Let's look at his numbers right now because I said Cleveland lets people run all over them. 30th in rush defense.
Though, it's not guaranteed that Drake's going to get all of the carries because it's definitely.
Well, he only got 10 carries when Dobbins got hurt last week.
Right. That's definitely an understanding that he is. I mean, him, Mike Davis.
I want to put him in just because I want to have someone against Cleveland's defense, and if we're not going to buy Lamar, Cleveland cannot stop the run to save their lives.
Well, here's the thing too: Mark Andrews might not play.
Well, then I don't want Lamar. I take it back. I just want Drake.
That would be a problem.
All right. As much as I hate the Drake, I'm going to go with him. But I do like starting with defenses because I like it's a good way to give your money up.
Yeah, but the problem this week, Joe, about these defenses is that the bottom tier is really playing against some offenses that
let's go straight to it.
Realistically should slap them silly. Other than Cincinnati's. Cincinnati's at 3,600 tells me that potentially that could be a good play. Also, like you said, against Kansas City, against San Francisco, but now with Christian McCaffrey, I don't really want to play Kansas City's defense either. So as you keep scrolling,
you want to go all in on the Rodgers hate for the same money. We should pick Atlanta against Atlanta instead. But I don't ever want to be on Washington's defense.
No, I would never want to do that either.
I don't want to touch that Colts-Tennessee game.
I would think Colts would be a good play at that.
Vegas wouldn't be that bad of a play at 4,000.
Yeah,
because Houston's offense is bad. It's been bad for 2 years.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad play. I wouldn't say it would be a bad play.
That's a 4:00 game.
But it is expensive.
Well, it's literally the middle.
I mean,
the top one's 5 and the bottom one's 3.
If we're thinking about it, Green Bay's defense would probably be a good play this week too against Washington because who knows what Tyler Heineke's going to do. But at 4,500, that is a tough sell for me.
I agree with that.
But it is out of those top defenses that I see listed there, out of those 7-6. I would take Green Bay out of those. Out of everything priced above 4,000, I would take Green Bay.
See, I take the Raiders at 4, but you mean higher than the Raiders. Because when you go lower than the Raiders, we're not going to take the Seahawks. The one we would take is the Bengals, and that's only a $400 difference. So, all right, so let's start with Green Bay then, and then if we need to get the money back later, we can, because
Because their defense is opportunistic enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be like Arizona was yesterday.
No, that was crazy stupid. Just crazy.
No.
I was not a fan of that game, by the way. I lost.
A lot of people were. I was not, but a lot of people were.
I was not. Let me put it this way. I really like the chase play this week, looking at the receivers. But going down the quarterback list.
And it's costly to pair Burrow with Chase this week, even though they were the top wide receiving duo last week. As you look at the quarterbacks, I mean,
they're all basically around $7,000.
There's nothing that screams,
value
that I can play this guy. I mean, maybe Mac Jones, but I didn't see New England on this list, so maybe he's the late or the Monday night game.
It might be the Monday game, yeah, because I haven't seen anyone from New England.
He would be. I mean, I hate it, but Aaron Rodgers is priced at a point where, as much as I hate him, I would consider it. I wouldn't like it, but I consider it. What?
Is Jonathan Taylor touchdown back?
I don't know. The reports aren't certain about it. I would think Herbert would be a good play because he had the worst game of his career last week. Good bounce back spot against Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle lets up some points. Although they completely did shut down Arizona last week.
True.
Of course, Murray also shut himself down.
Tom Brady is in a good bounce back spot as well.
I don't want to touch that.
Against Carolina. I'm just speaking out loud about that.
Yeah, to me, this is either Herbert or Burrow.
I don't know what he's going to do, but he's in a great spot coming back from his injury.
Well, let's do the Burrow chase play we were talking about, and then try to make the rest
expensive.
Of it work. I know it does. So we got 6,400 remaining, which that's a ballpark we can play in. Let's go to tight end and see if we can get a cheap value there.
Oh, if I'm shooting fish in a barrel with the tight end position here, I'm going Robert Tonyan. Robert Tonyan.
It's either Tonyan or Bellinger, yeah.
At 5,500. I don't know. I think the Giants are going to be able to move the ball, but I think they're going to move it through Saquon as they always do. But I think Saquon's going to get a little bit more touches in the end zone this week. Fant is a good play. Hayden Hurst is also a sneaky play too because he's playing against his old team. Burrow might go off against him, but I'm not taking 3 Bengals.
No, you're not.
My play this week would be Tonyan.
Yeah, so the 3 that I would think of would be Tonyan, certainly one of them, Bellinger, but Schultz getting Dak back is a scary. I think that could be something there because Detroit lets up the yards.
Schultz might not fully be healthy yet either.
That's true. Dak might also not be fully healthy yet either. So are we basically saying that entire game is going to be Aaron Jones and Tonyan? Because I think there's a chance that's entirely Green Bay's offense.
I think so. You might get some sprinkled in with Lazard. You might get some sprinkled in with Dobbs. Dobbs is actually not a bad play for the price this week. If you look at him, I think he's sitting at 5,600 or 5,900. If you don't want to take Tonyan and you want to take a Packers player because Washington's defense is terrible.
I got to tell you, Bob, I'm leaning Aaron Jones because he did say he's going to force him the ball this week. He's only at 68.
Aaron Jones at 68. I would never thought I would have seen the day.
Yeah, me neither. But
it's worth it. It's worth a chance. But
they need
3
a win.
Packers, I think we got to take. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
All right. So there's 2 Packers there. We're at 66 as our price point now for 2 receivers and a flex.
One guy I would look at would be Donovan Peoples-Jones from Cleveland. They play Baltimore. Baltimore has been known to give up long plays, and Peoples-Jones is their long play guy.
Yes, he is. He's got to be cheap too. Where's the
people? I think he's at 5,600, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, you are correct. Yeah, I like that play. There's some value. There's some potential of him going off there. All right, so that gives us now to 7,100.
Now here's an interesting play. If you take George Pickens here and just go for potential,
he's on the Sunday night game.
Oh, okay. If you take another player at this 5,500, 5,600 benchmark, you could probably fit Saquon Barkley into your lineup as well.
as the flex. All right, so let's see who's here that we would like around this world. Who is Carolina's quarterback now?
I don't want to pick any player from Carolina.
You want to ride the Curtis Samuel Express?
No, he hasn't been getting the ball.
It's a new quarterback
we don't know
now,
what Taylor Heineke is going to do. We don't know which wide receiver he's going to pass it to. I'm not willing to take that chance. Mecole Hardman could be a sneaky play here at 57 for that value.
Yeah, because San Francisco's not good on deep balls either.
And if you click on him, I think he's been targeted a lot the last 2 games.
Let's take a look. See. 4 and 5 in the targets.
I mean, not terrible.
Not terribly
but
great
it also
either.
has been against the 2nd and the 21st ranked defense. So,
yeah, I get that, but these guys are 5th, so I don't want to take.
And then Dobbs right there at 5,800, but I'm not taking 4 Packers. I refuse.
It'd be 3, but yeah, no, we're not doing that.
No, it'd be 4 because it would be the Green Bay Packers defense too.
Oh, I never count the defense.
I mean,
for that reason, we're not taking Boyd as well.
Duvernay could be at that price point could be a play because if Mark Andrews is out, Lamar Jackson is probably going to be running the ball all over the place, but he might, although I will say this, if Andrews is out, Isaiah Likely could be a good play at tight end.
I think he likes Likely. He really does.
See how much he is.
$45. Oh, that could be a league winner.
Can you see if Andrews is actually out?
Andrews is listed as
I think even if he plays, likely he's going to see the field a lot.
Is listed as questionable for the matchup. That's as of the 21st, which is today. So an hour ago, they said he's questionable.
It gives you an extra $1,000 to spend. Is Tunyon going to go off this week? Will he go off and get 14 points, 10 points, or is it better to throw Likely in there and try to maximize it at 2 other positions?
I prefer that strategy. Plus, it gets us a Packer off the field. 4,500 really gives you some money. So now you're at 76. You want to throw Saquon in there.
You could also put in Jalen Waddle if that's something that throws your fancy.
On Sunday night, Bob.
Oh my gosh! Ugh. All of those good Miami wide receivers.
So, you know who I get you're on the Saquon bus. I like Josh Jacobs this week in a big way.
I mean,
maybe we'll get to do that in a different lineup, but
yeah, I mean, if you feel like this, so I feel like we're taking a big risk with Peoples-Jones, Aaron Jones as well. But the price points tell me that's the value is there to really go off, and they're going against some defenses that aren't really good. And it's just up to them. It's just up to them to get the ball.
Yeah, that's it. So we going Saquon or Jacobs?
Click on Peoples-Jones. Let's see how many targets he's actually been getting. I mean, he's been getting
5, 7, 9
targets.
Yeah, so, no, he has. Yeah.
He just has to turn them into touchdowns. He's getting the targets. Now he needs to turn them into touchdowns.
Yeah, and at 56, that's worth the risk.
This is a good week for him to do that.
So Saquon or Jacobs, Bob?
I mean, see what Saquon allows you to do. See what Jacobs allows you to do.
All right. Saquon first, and then there's a difference of 700 between the two of them. Okay, so this is going to let us get 15.
So putting in Jacobs would allow you to get a 6,100 player or something like that.
No, it would be much more than that. It would be here.
Put in Jacobs. Just put in Jacobs. Let's play around with him.
It's 6,600 now on your last receiver.
Okay, so let's go to 6,600 for wide receiver, and let's see what happens.
We're looking at Lazard, Ayuk, who we're not picking. Yeah, you know, it almost is like let's spend the extra money and just go down to 58 because we
Exactly.
could put Dobbs in, which is who you're already on the bus with anyway, and then Saquon it up, and that fits almost perfectly. There's $100 left over,
and I think that we have 4 strong candidates to break some faces this week.
Well, I like anyone who's running the ball against Cleveland. So, assuming that that Drake is the actual starter, I love that pick. I think this is the time of the year where Burrow just turns it on, and the Burrow Chase combination is awesome. It sure is, and same with anyone against Baltimore secondary. So, same with Washington second. There's a lot of bad secondaries out there, Bob. A lot. I like we look at opponent's opposition. That's basically what this team is built around. They're all 25 or better for us, with the exception of Likely, and he's Mr. Cheap. So
yeah,
I like that lineup. Let's click submit and then do another one. I don't want to save it for all 4 inches. I wish I could do that differently. But
who are some guys that you like this week, and let's build a lineup around those guys.
All right.
Maybe they're the same.
Well, I like Chase. Let me start with that as the answer. I like Chase.
Okay, so let's build another lineup with him as the centerpiece.
All right.
Because we missed the bus on Burrow and Chase last week because we were kind of playing around with a lot of stuff.
Well, I like Chase and Lamar.
All right,
but let's start with building it around Lamar.
Okay, let's see what happens.
Because I think he's going to run like crazy.
I mean, he's the best running back on the team, so
he is against a team that can't stop the run. So I like that. I like starting in tight end world on the cheap. So let's dude, I'm running a Bellinger boner. I don't know how to say that. So I want to throw him in there as my guy. Right. And then let's settle in.
Did you say you wanted to put Chase in this as well?
I don't think we're going to. I'd rather. Yeah, I want to put Chase.
All right. So let's.
So now we're at 6,200 a person. So let's pick the defense, get that number up a little higher, and see what we can build with. I like the Jets there at 4,300 because Denver sucks.
They really do.
I like the Titans against the Colts, but last week the Colts kind of showed up.
I will say that New York Jets play could be a really, really smart play because Sauce Gardner is superb at coverage, and Denver's wide receivers can't get open. Russell Wilson's feeling a little bit banged up, and they really have no running game to speak of.
No, Melgore got like 3 carries last week, something like that.
So I am totally on the New York Jets bus. I've been on the New York Jets bus for quite a couple weeks now.
Yep. So, all right. So,
and they scored 20 points last week. So
it's also true. They won people some games late last week. So it's 66.
We had that we nailed that one. That was the top defense last week. So now we're sitting at 6,600 per player.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's going to be tough to do. I think you got to go straight to
I like Godwin.
I think you can't pick a wide receiver yet. I think you have to go straight to running backs because the wide receivers, there's plenty of them. The running backs, there's not as much.
That's true.
You can't, with the lineup like this, you can't take anybody over 8,000.
No, you're down here in this range. You said in the beginning you like Kenneth Walker.
Like I said, Kenneth Walker and Zeke are 2 good plays in this range. You could probably play
just
Kenneth
do them
Walker,
both.
Zeke, and Jones.
Because as I broke down the strategy of football, Zeke's primed, man. I think Zeke is.
Pollard is priced really well too. Pollard, I think, is sitting at 6,300.
Paul Zeke's still.
I'm saying if you get in trouble with your lineup.
Yeah, I probably would pull Walker first, but all right. So now we're at 6,300 on the receivers. You could also
play Aaron Jones in this lineup in the flex if you choose to.
Well, let's see what we got in the receiver world because we're going to need. Yeah, that's a little too cheap. Sky Moore doesn't get on the field. Yeah, these guys are all still. So
I mean,
5,000 is going to be too cheap.
I am all on the bus for taking some no-name wide receiver because it feels like every week some guy backdoors their way to a touchdown and never sees another target again, like in that Saints game. Ridiculous. For some reason, Zacchaeus has been getting the ball a lot. I can't understand why he has been.
Yeah. We don't know who's playing quarterback in Carolina.
No.
I was saying DJ Moore would be the one I would pick.
But they all suck.
I get that.
But here's the thing. Now is not the time for a bounce back from DJ Moore. Unless DJ Moore is trying to play himself out of Carolina, he could have the biggest game of his life if he's trying to play himself out so that he can show people that he's still worth the money.
Also, with Robbie Anderson not there anymore, I think it just makes it
more coverage could be over him because Christian McCaffrey's not there and Robbie Anderson's not there. So everybody's going to just be on him. And Tampa Bay has a decent defense.
It's true.
So he's going to be.
Let's just not touch that game.
If you're doing any Carolina wide receiver, Shea Smith or any of those other guys would probably be a better play because they're not going to be respected in coverage as DJ Moore is.
Well, that's true. But I'm not taking a guy who only gets 2 targets. So, therefore...
I agree with you, but I'm saying if you're taking a Carolina wide receiver, that's kind of where the play is.
Yeah,
and I think Kansas City, I think their wide receivers are very game script dependent because you put out that tape about Juju, and then last week Juju went off to a degree. You know,
he broke a tackle and ran for 30 yards.
1 week, Mecole Hardman goes and does something. Valdez-Scantling does something. They're as trustworthy as the New England wide receivers.
I like Minka. Little Nico Collins action.
It's possible if they can get past the defensive line and they don't get sacked.
All you got to do is double team the Condor. The rest of that team sucks.
So, I mean, he's a good
click on him. We'll throw someone in here. Get a little love that way. That's going to get us up to 67. Now we can look at a real player here. I like Gallup with Dak.
I was going to say that Gallup also opens up the door for a lot of stuff for you. Mm-hmm. Alec Pierce opens up the door for some stuff as well, even though Michael Pittman is the main guy. But
I'd rather go Dak. I'd rather because Dak I know can throw the ball. I'm not totally sure Matt Ryan can right now. So we go to flex. Who can we afford?
You're looking at Joe Mixon. That could be a decent play. You're 100 away from Michael Pittman.
Well, that's 100 away from St. Brown.
100 away from Amon-Ra. I mean, you could quell your Daniel Bellinger boner and go down to likely get an extra 1,000.
Let me throw him in here and see what it's like if we go down if there's a cheaper running back than Walker.
There is Pollard.
I don't want both of them though.
Pollard at 6,500.
Jeff Wilson's not... I like ETN.
ETN is a good play as well. The Giants' defense is a little better against the run than it is against the pass, I believe. Also, pass catching running backs against the Giants is something to think about as well. Let me look up a stat real quick. So if I look up this stat here, I just want to see pass catching running backs against tight ends. You're looking at or against. So the Giants have only given up 14 receptions to running backs. Now, who have they played in terms of running backs? Let's take a look. they would have played Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey had 4 receptions, 26 yards, 15 rushes, 102 yards. So ETN is a good play if they give him the ball more, but they're kind of stingy with pass catching running backs here.
I like him nonetheless. I think that he's a big part of what they're going to be doing out there.
If you're looking for a pass catching running back, think about the players that play Seattle. This is why Jacksonville. This is a good reason why Saquon is a good play, I believe, because Jacksonville's let up 47 catches to pass catching running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City's let up 56. Baltimore's let up 41. Atlanta 33. San Francisco 30. So that's some food for thought.
Yeah, I'm thinking here. I like if we don't go ETN, I guess it would be Drake, but
ETN's a solid play. I'm not saying he's not a solid play, but a majority of his work comes when he catches it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm curious where James Robinson is at. Clearly, Travis Etienne has garnered a lot of attention in that backfield.
Mm-hmm.
But if something were to happen and the game script were to change.
See, I don't see that game getting out of hand. I see that being 2 running guys just facing each other.
I see that as well. I'm not saying he's a bad play. I like him.
The problem is we're going to have to pick Drake.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to double down on the Drake.
Double down on the Drake.
All right, we're going to double down on the Drake.
Doubling down on the Drake is really rough.
But he's also capable of doing stupid things because Cleveland can't stop anyone. So, all right, let's click the ad break on that here, Bob, and then we will pop back with the other two we got here.
All right, great.
This episode is sponsored by the podcast Father and Joe. Father and Joe aims to bring individuals into a better relationship with God. Each episode discusses an element of the human experience that we all can relate to, as well as questions about faith. What are indulgences? What's going on with purgatory? Why can I mentally grasp the concept of God, but I don't feel him in my heart? During each episode of Father and Joe, we are invited to enhance our relationships, and in doing so, we will improve ourselves and society. Download Father and Joe every Tuesday.
So we thank you for watching this episode of Local Football Flavor. We know there's a lot of different things you can be doing with your time, so we appreciate you either listening or watching us in whatever way you're digesting us here today. So we here at the episode want to try to request helping us out in one of 3 different ways, because all 3 ways will help us. First is the analytics. If you can either click like or subscribe on whatever platform you're watching us on, it makes a tremendous difference, as those algorithms kind of control what our popularity will be, and you, our listeners, are the only one that can help us win those analytics games. So by clicking like and subscribe, it makes a tremendous deal for us, and leaving reviews and comments help tremendously as well. So that's what we ask as you as a listener to do. If you're interested in the show, you'd like to be a guest on the program, please reach out to us. We love talking to people, and it's our conversation about your favorite team, letting people know what's really going on that the national media normally misses. So we would love to have those conversations with you. And the third way is the sponsors. As you've noticed, we've already had some sponsors reach out to us here. You can see one down here in the corner. You can easily be in the scroller along the bottom, having your own personal message, as well as all other fun things like controlling the jersey I'm going to wear, or that little teddy bear behind me can be one of your team logos things. You can make me wear a stupid cheese head if that's what you want to do. All of those things are available by reaching out to us at localfootballflavor@gmail.com. We thank you guys very much for being a part of the show. And now let's resume to today's episode.
All right,
Bob.
I feel like we made 2 pretty solid lineups here that have a lot of potential. Go to running backs. I'd like to start there for this lineup.
All right, let's start with running backs.
All right. Now, you
want to do the blow your load on Henry and Saquon?
The top guy here, Austin Eckler. I think that is not a terrible play. He is the most expensive. I think he's the most expensive player to date, other than Josh Allen. Correct?
Yeah, other than Josh Allen. That key clause needs to be said.
But Seattle has led up 33 receptions to pass catching running backs. While it's not the highest, and Kansas City's is the highest, Christian McCaffrey, if he plays,
why wouldn't he play?
Is going to go nuclear. He might not play because he might not be ready.
Dude, he's Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, you got to move. You got to get into practice. You got to know it's easier for a running back to transition than a quarterback or anybody like that. But I think he could go absolutely nuclear in this week.
Man, this is the same offense that their quarterback wasn't given the playbook until the season had started.
Yeah. And then, like I said, Jacksonville gives up the second most receptions to running backs. And they also give up 100. I mean, they give up 117 totes.
I am all for the heavy running back lineup. But we're now down to 6,000 a pop, and let's go pick some cheap tight ends in defense.
Again, though, Derrick Henry at 9,200, that extra $100 could make a difference later on down the line. Anybody against Chicago's defense? I didn't see Chicago though, so
I think they're on a bye.
And anybody against Detroit or Houston is also a pretty decent play. So Josh Jacobs is.
All right, Josh Jacobs can be our flex.
A pretty good option.
Now we have just gone incredibly expensive. We need to get a cheap defense now. Going through this earlier, we both kind of discussed that Cincinnati is the cheapest viable option. I think that's what we go with. And
I mean, this lineup isn't viable already because we can't play a quarterback.
Hold up here.
Isaiah Likely has to be
he has to be, which is fine. All right. We're working here. I need an absolutely cheap quarterback.
I think the cheapest quarterback that I would want to play.
Yeah, I know you don't want to play Murray. I know you don't want to play.
Could be Daniel Jones. It could also be Geno Smith because the Chargers defense isn't like super phenomenal. I wouldn't.
Hey, what do we do something stupid like this? Just hear me out before I finish talking. What if we do the seldom seen, seldom used, but potential Megatron answer of the stack of Davis Mills and Nico Collins?
That's gross. I see what it looks like. I really don't like that, but
I knew you weren't going to like it, but he's the number 2. He's the deep threat, and Vegas lets up deep things. It also now gives us 6,700 to play with the other two.
I'm just going to play around for a minute here. How much do we have left to spend on each player? 6,700?
Yeah.
So this means that we could buy, you said 6,700?
Mm-hmm.
This means we can buy somebody at like 7,500 and somebody at like 5,900.
Yeah, so we're looking at like St. Brown again, which I am all for getting St. Brown in my life.
I'm not a big fan of the guy coming back from an injury like that.
That's fair. We also go Mike Evans.
Michael Pittman is a good play for me this week.
I can't trust the Colts passing game.
I know, but when
Tennessee's coming off a bye, they're going to get him.
I understand. I just like him. I think that he's just an animal, a beast.
I'd rather go Amari Cooper.
CD Lamb at 7,700 could make us knock down to 55 or 5,600. See what happens. Put in CD Lamb and see. I know I don't want to play him. I just want to see
57.
playing around with numbers. Okay. So
pulling them out.
You can conceivably now. Amari Cooper could be a good play here.
I think I'm liking Cooper because Baltimore can't cover
Higgins
shit.
could be a good play as well if he's healthy.
Nah, the same reason you said don't take people coming off injury.
Mm-hmm.
T. Higgins coming off an injury, so let's throw Cooper in there.
But Amari Cooper he wasn't even in part of the. He didn't even get a bunch of receptions the one game.
Let's look at his stats.
And he totally skunked it.
12 targets his last 2 games.
No, I'm saying against Atlanta when I actually played him though, he didn't do anything, and that was
he only got 4 targets in that game.
Defenses they played.
That was the low of the season.
Amari Cooper is definitely a good play for the same reason that Donovan Peoples-Jones is a good play. I think Baltimore is going to respect Amari Cooper more than they respect Donovan Peoples-Jones just because they've probably.
Well, then let's stick with Peoples because at the end of the day, Cleveland ain't funding 2 receivers. People can be our cheap one, and then that gives us enough money for either a Mike Williams or CeeDee Lamb. You actually could fit CeeDee in this now.
Yeah. How much money do we have?
78.
Exactly 78.
Exactly 78.
Oh, Nico Collins is so disgusting.
Well, the other option would be instead of going Collins, we can go, like the low 7,000s, upper 6s here, upgrade Collins or the quarterback.
What's in the upper 6s for the wide receiver? Because I know the upper 7s in
Metcalf.
Oh,
Juju, Lazard.
We played DK last week and he didn't.
Seattle didn't score any points last week, but they're not going to have a choice this week. They're going to have to score.
We can fit DK into that lineup right now.
We can fit DK in that lineup right now, and then that gives you an extra 900 to upgrade Minko Collins or Davis Mills or both. Right,
so the quarterbacks that we're looking at would be Matt Ryan. And that's not really financial windfall.
So the most we could go up to is 7-2, which would be Lawrence, Garoppolo, Rodgers. We could do a Geno Smith stack, though. Why don't we do that? Why don't we throw Geno in there?
Geno Smith fell apart last week, from my understanding.
Not really. They just ran the ball and they were up by 11. And Pete Carroll just said, "You're not smart enough to outcoach me. You're Cliff Kingsbury." And
so, I don't want to talk you out of your Nico Collins stack because
I am easily talked out.
It's a juicy little tidbit you gave the audience there.
The London, Boyles.
None of them are really good.
Has London started getting targets again?
No. But Kyle Pitts is back, so maybe.
Has he started throwing the ball to you again? That's on the rise. Throw it to him 9 times. Only caught 4 of them, though.
But he ain't doing anything with it. But we did pick him in the other one just because, for lack of a better, potential, because it's Washington secondary. London has some good potential. Trevor Lawrence does like Zay Jones when Zay Jones is healthy.
He does.
He was injured last week, so, the whole running back coming back from an injury.
Yeah.
Mecole Hardman is an option as well, but that leaves $300 on the table.
See, this is... we get an extra $100.
Can you upgrade Josh Jacobs to Austin Eckler and see what garbage we have at wide receiver?
I like where your head's up, Bob.
If you go down to Davis Mills, that gives you an extra, $700? Or $500 too?
Yeah, but there's no one really in that neighborhood that's any fun.
DJ Moore.
what we would have to do in all probabilities, if we go back to Mills, we might as well stack them up at that point. Because I think Collins was 56. It perfectly like a glove. We just had to stick with the Minko Collins connection.
All signs point to Houston's offense. I really hate that, but
32 against passing against quarterbacks.
But we took the top 3 most expensive running backs.
Yeah, that's
right. I think
that's this entire lineup is that
minus Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Dude, I like it for the matchup, man. I like it for the
matchups are good.
Plus, I believe Houston's coming off their bye.
Houston is coming off their bye.
So what a time for Mills to show some stuff off.
I mean, he's been in the film room apparently.
His neck. How does he ever leave it?
And if Christian McCaffrey for some reason can't go,
if McCaffrey would be deemed out, we would just
go.
We'd have to put in Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Which also isn't a bad play. But we got Eckler, and this lineup took some effort to put together, and we're seriously cutting some corners at tight end, quarterback, and 2 receivers. But it could also slap, man. Dude, if you just get 1 deep pass to Peoples-Jones and 1 deep pass to Collins, you could win.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, what you see here is like you have a potential 20, 20, 20.
And your running backs, yeah.
10, 10, 10, 10, and maybe like 15.
I like this one.
That's super competitive, actually.
No one would ever have thought that. Betting on a Lovie Smith quarterback. Oh, that sentence just sounded so stupid coming out of my face. We're not picking another Texan again.
No, we can't.
We're doing it in draft that doesn't include any. Let's just do, and let's see if we can make this happen. For each respective position, let's see if we can do something where we're going against either, put this roles on ourselves. You're going against either the 29th, 30th, 31st, or 32nd worst opposition to them.
You're not, or you are?
You are. You're only going for a top 4 matchup.
I mean, I think that's what our one lineup was.
No, because there was like 23s and stuff. I mean, I want them to be 29 or worse, which is
all right.
Josh Jacobs playing 32.
Okay.
Let's go to quarterback first. We're looking at Dak,
31. Ryan,
Garoppolo.
28. Garoppolo, 30.
Or Jacoby Brissett.
Or Davis Mills.
Davis Mills not at the end.
I think out of those guys, Jacoby probably has the value there. I mean, to get you to
what was Dak at?
Dak's at 31 at 7,500, but you don't know if he's healthy. So
you don't.
He could slap. I mean, he's probably going to slap, but I really don't enjoy playing players that come off injuries. And
Jacoby Brissett is doing one of 2 things, Bob. He's either throwing 4 touchdowns or he's throwing 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
This is an all or nothing play.
Okay. All right, go to
some good rolls we just made here. All right, so we already took Raiders.
So you got to take Zeke.
Where was Zeke
he's
at?
31.
Did I scroll by him already?
No, he's down. Zeke is 31.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Love everything
Kenneth
about
Walker's 29. We already made this line.
We're going to go receivers now. Let's see what we can afford here.
I think we should
puts Debo on the list. We haven't used Debo yet. Puts Pittman there. How much money do we have left?
a decent
We
amount.
better go down to the defense real quick because we're down to 5,700. The defense could screw us. Tennessee.
What's 32?
Washington. Oh man, Rodgers is that bad.
All right, go watch. You got to go Tennessee.
Tennessee. I think we go Tennessee too.
All right, go to tight end.
6,200 left. This actually might be doable.
Gerald Everett would be your tight end at 32. He's 32.
Oh, it'll also be Hurst.
Yeah, but Gerald Everett's lower, 32.
All right.
He's more expensive though.
That's what I'm saying. We might have to go Hurst later on because we only have 6,100 left.
All right, go to flex.
And we got to get the third receiver first.
Sort it by opposition rank. Can you sort it by opposition rank?
Where the hell was that button at, Bob?
All right.
All right, so that's all the Colts receivers. We're not taking a second Niner. Now here we are looking at
Amari Cooper again.
I think we're just marrying Donovan Peoples-Jones this week, Bob.
I mean, Amari Cooper's a good one too.
Yeah, but I want to spend the money on the flex one.
Okay.
So we only got 6,700 left for our flex. We're just gonna do this by salary, and then just kind of keep a head space on it.
How much do we have?
It'd be the answer would be the
Drake. The Drake.
We are marrying to Peoples-Jones and the Drake. Bob, I gotta tell you, there's easier ways to light $100 on fire.
How much do we have left?
100.
How come it always comes out to 100? It's so.
Bob, this is the most matchup-driven league ever.
I mean, realistically speaking,
there's not one person, the exception of Zeke, that I'm like, oh, Jacobs. Jacobs and Zeke I'm excited for.
I mean, honestly,
if you love Peoples-Jones and the Drake, the thing should be perfect, right?
If these are the parameters and these players are supposed to smack and score against these specific lineups, this is the lineup that would probably do it. You could probably do Hurst and then go maybe you want to go Ayuk or Alec Pierce or Amari Cooper. You could probably play around with those wide receivers a little bit. Like if you didn't want Donovan Peoples-Jones, you could take Pierce.
Oh no, we're married to Jones. We're sticking this thing out. Peoples-Jones going to be someone we highlight this week.
Equally score as more points than them. With Christian McCaffrey having Debo now, I mean, it's going to take away Debo's gadget play. So I'm not, 100% sold on what's going to happen.
I don't think it does in week one. I don't think McHenry's I don't think Run CMC is getting gadget plays in half a week.
No. I'm not saying he won't, but I'm saying that
I think this is the last week of the Debo gadgets.
I'm saying because they didn't trust their running backs, but now they will have a capable running back.
He's actually going to play receiver again. It's going to be weird.
Yeah, it's not going to get as many running plays. So that's kind of where I was going with that. That's a disgusting lineup. Don't put that in a $25 league.
Yeah, it's too late.
Oh, man.
All right. So, Bob, we got about, 5-10 minutes left here. Why don't you give me some final thoughts here entering the fantasy weekend for the global picture here?
So when we look at what's going on in fantasy over, in this week, we've got a lot of what are historically bad defenses this week that are playing some pretty decent offenses. This is a make or break moment for Aaron Rodgers, to be honest with you.
If you can't score against Washington, you can't score.
If he can't produce this week, he is out of all lineups everywhere. This is also a week that I'm really curious to see that wide receivers coming back from injury. Amon-Ra St. Brown and T. Higgins are two guys that I'm really, really curious to see what happens. If I have them, I'm hesitant to play them, but I'm also wanting to play them because I know that they're just as likely to pop off.
If you have St. Brown, I don't know how you hold him out of your lineup. That'd be amazing.
As they are to do nothing. in order to hold St. Brown out of your lineup, in order to hold Higgins out of your lineup, you better have a much better option.
I mean, Higgins was your 5th round pick, probably.
This is also an opportunity for Herbert to get some momentum back going. This is also a show me moment for Geno Smith.
Do you think he's still hurt before we get into Geno? Do you think Herbert's still hurt?
I think there's some residual effects on it, but I think it was more of the DraftKings curse last week, because DraftKings had a boost, and none of their boosts have hit like this year ever. And it was to score 1 touchdown, and he didn't do it. They boosted it, and he didn't do it.
That's unfortunate.
So I know it's some tinfoil hat theory there, but a lot of people on Twitter were saying like, how does that not even happen? So
Man,
yeah,
curse, baby.
He could still be hurt. But I think it's more of a telling sign for whatever's going on in Los Angeles than it is for Herbert himself, because there's some issues on that offensive line. There's a lot of pressure that was getting on him. Speaking of pressure, like Geno Smith, I know that he's the starter there, and they really don't have a better option, but they've been saying, Pete Carroll has been saying in the news that's, like they're still giving Drew Lock reps in practice, enough reps to be like, hey, we like Drew Lock. And everybody's like, well, maybe that's just to push Geno Smith because he's lazy.
That is true.
This is
at some point, though, when you're in your 30s, you just got to get over it and realize, like, this is my last chance, right?
This is a good week for Geno Smith to show up, because the Chargers are definitely a beatable offense, or a beatable defense. Yeah. This is a good time for Derek Carr too. I mean, he's in a pretty good matchup. We'll see what happens.
I see that secretly putting up a ton of points in that game. I mean, obviously, you just saw me fight for Miko Collins. I think there's going to be a ton of points in that Vegas game.
We've been off a little bit about, what matchups are going to score the most points. It's always been something that unusual that we
haven't been off to the point where that team had no game. That we have been picked 2nd or 3rd when we thought it was going to be 1st. It wasn't we thought number 1 and then it turned on the bottom.
Right. And this is also a good moment for the 2 New Jersey teams. Yes, I said New Jersey. Because the Buffalo Bills are the only team in New York State. So the 2 New Jersey teams to show up.
Half of the nation just broke their phones.
Or show out, right? So the Jets are in a really good situation against Denver. Denver's defense is pretty good. This is a time for Zach Wilson. I mean, Elijah Moore's probably sitting this game.
That's a game Denver always wins, though.
It's a sneaky game that Denver can win.
No one's really. It's because at least they're playing the Jets, who are used to being cold. Because it's cold up here in the Northeast right now.
To be honest,
if they were playing a Florida team, they'd smoke them.
This is a good time for us to see what Breece Hall and Michael Carter, what's going on in that matchup, because Denver's defense is actually pretty good. So we're going to see how they split the carries against a good defense going down the road here. As for the Giants,
I think it's going to be the Breece Hall show like crazy.
As for the Giants, they've got a really good matchup against the Jaguars. The Jaguars defense, as most people will tell you, look like pretenders. As the weeks have gone on, there's a lot of athletic ability, as Joe shared during one of our episodes recently. And so when you look at this team, what will they do? That's kind of the thing with Jacksonville, is that they have a lot of talent, but what are they going to do with the talent? And this is a good week for them to show up against a really decent Giants team, if not good.
Yeah, that's really confused me, because in my brain, every time I sit down, it's time to make bets. It's are the Giants a 6-1 team? No.
Yeah, I mean,
I gotta click. They're gonna lose.
Yeah, this is the week that you're gonna see.
I think they can destroy them. I really think the Giants can destroy Jacksonville.
And this is the fun thing too, is that the Jets and Giants could potentially get to a point, as we were talking in earlier, where the playoffs could be in their future. Same things goes for New England. If they can put together some wins this week, they're looking like a team that could finish the year in the playoffs. And it's really, really, really weird to say that. I don't want to say it, but it's said. This is also a good week for Seattle.
The Giants are in. I mean, let's just point out the Giants are 5-1. If they go 500 the rest of the way, they end up being 10-6. That's a 11-6. That's a playoff team.
And the other thing too is this is a good game for Seattle to be like, okay, I'm going to keep pace with my division. Christian McCaffrey is now a 49er. What am I going to do? How am I going to show out? This could be the week after this week. Kenneth Walker insurance could be Cam Akers. We talked about how they might want to go get Cam Akers from the Rams. And this is a good week too, from a fantasy perspective, for the Rams players to just have a rest, right? It's their bye week this week. We started to see some glimmers of Allen Robinson last week.
Fix that arm, Matty.
We need Matt Stafford to come out of the bye on all cylinders to Cooper Kupp. If you have those players in the DFS world, if you want to buy those
Philly
players.
and the Rams are on a bye. I didn't realize. See, when I do my draft, I don't ever care about bye weeks because I'd rather eat the whole bullet. I did not realize like 80% of my offense is coming from either the Rams or the Eagles. Hurts just scores like crazy, Cooper Kupp, and then the Devontae Smith train I am on. But I want to spin this around to the opposite direction because this kind of hit me here. Vegas got 1 win. Houston got 1 win. Could that be a matchup for the first pick overall? Like if I gave you those two teams or the field, who are right now the 2 worst teams in football by record, I give you those 2 teams or the field.
I think by the end of the year, that tie is actually going to put Houston out of contention for the number 1 pick.
How many more games do you think they're winning?
I think they win 2 more.
So you're getting 3.5 wins for Houston. Okay.
I think they're going to play a game later in the year where a team's going to get lazy, forget about them, and that's going to be that, and they just win that game. This game against Las Vegas could just as likely blow them out. And I know I'm speaking in platitudes there, but they can just as likely blow them out as they will just screw up.
I think they're going to screw up. It's kind of the Raider way, ain't it?
But like we talked about with Daryl, if they screw up this week, there will be like a no holds barred, like locker room brawl. In theory, not in actuality. Maybe in actuality, it
I don't
is
know. Adam's
the
getting
Raiders.
mad.
There will be some soul searching, and they might put together a couple of wins. I still think the Steelers will be top 5, if not top 2, by the end of the year.
I don't think that we're even going to finish last in our division, Bob. Because I know the team that's going to have the first pick in the draft, and I put money on them, and I am riding with it still.
I also think
they got 2 wins right now, and that's it. I got a chance at this.
I also think Cleveland and
That's
Detroit.
them.
I also think Cleveland and Detroit will somehow, some way not find their footing at all on anything that they want to do.
I think Detroit will. As soon as Swift gets healthy, I think that Detroit's back.
Their defense sucks, though, dude. Like
True.
They can't stop anything.
But they can throw themselves into contention. And I think that as soon as Swift comes back, I mean, they are in a division with Chicago, and that's kind of the elephant in the room that we're ignoring.
Okay. And that's the other thing that I wasn't ignoring that. That's something that I was considering, right? But
I think it's Cleveland. I think Cleveland's going to
also have to consider Chicago. So do I think the Raiders and Houston have a good chance to get the number 1 pick? Absolutely, because they're still sitting in the basement. But will Houston do it? Probably not, because that tie is going to keep them out of, unless they finish the year just with 1 win. That tie is going to keep them in contention to lose that first overall pick. And to be honest with you, if I'm thinking about the first overall pick this year, there is CJ Stroud and
there's the Bama quarterback, the Ohio State quarterback, and the Bama pass rusher.
Okay, so CJ Stroud is the Ohio State quarterback. The Bama quarterback, oh man, that Tennessee game was so good. I loved every minute of that game. I dislike Tennessee, but I love when Alabama loses. I love it. So those teams will need some help at quarterback. So I could definitely see Houston tanking.
Cleveland wouldn't. Cleveland would take the pass rusher.
Cleveland would take the pass rusher. So I don't see them tanking, but I could see
Cleveland. No, that's actually why I think Cleveland don't have that pick. Houston could get the first and second pick in the draft. How gross would that be?
That would be disgusting.
Oh, that would be beautiful.
So wait, if Cleveland gets that pick, they have
Cleveland already traded their first pick for Watson.
Oh my God. So Cleveland has a motivation to not get that first or second overall pick.
That's why it's going to be the most Cleveland thing ever when it happens.
I have never seen it in my life where the same team has got one, two. That gives me even more reason to say Houston might tank it, but they might screw themselves over with that tie.
Yeah, but I think Cleveland's going to tank it and not mean to tank it. I think Cleveland is just done.
Dude, I can't even imagine if Houston gets the first and the third, gets CJ Stroud or the Alabama one, and then another team, whoever goes into the second hole, gets.
See, if I were them, I'd take the pass rusher at one, and then one of the two quarterbacks at two.
I mean, yeah, that would be the play. That would be so gross.
Oh, I would love every second of it.
I hope the Raiders screw it up for them now. I mean,
what if they tie again?
Yeah. I mean, I also think that Denver's not that good, despite what their record says.
I think they already have 2 main wins.
They could easily start moving downward. But you're right. I think anybody with 3 or 4 wins, 4 wins actually, is too many to get that number 1 overall pick, because Houston's not going to win 3 more games. I don't even know Houston's schedule, but I'm just.
Houston. There's no way they're going to be a favorite again. There's not 3 teams in the league they'd be favored over.
Yeah, I know
we're missing a big elephant in the room. Sorry, dude. This just hit me. Well, Carolina isn't going to have a roster.
Carolina could get the number 1 overall.
How many wins do they have? They have 3 or 2.
All right. So I don't know. Hold on. I'll look it up in a minute. So as I'm looking at it, they play Raiders, Titans, Eagles, Giants, Commanders. Commanders could be a win.
That could be a win.
Dolphins. They play the Browns. Browns could be a win. Cowboys, Chiefs, Titans, Jags, Colts. By January 1st, the Jaguars could be so far out of playoff contention that doesn't mean anything.
Or they could still be at 500 and in the battle for that division.
Right. So I'm saying that, like I said, I think the 2 wins that Houston does pick up later on down the road here is the Browns and the Commanders. I knew they had somebody crappy on their schedule. So you asked where's
Carolina at right now, and who do they? Because I don't think Carolina's going to be favored against anyone.
Carolina is sitting at 1-5 as well. They're playing themselves for CJ Stroud too. They play an arguably harder schedule. Buccaneers, Falcons, Bengals, Falcons, Ravens, Broncos. Actually, not an arguably harder schedule.
This
Broncos,
is a harder schedule.
Seahawks, Steelers, Lions, Bucks, Saints.
There's not a single game they're going to be favored in the rest of the year.
Unless it's the Detroit game. Unless Detroit submarines so hard or the Steelers don't come back.
Dude, Cleveland's worse than the Steelers. I can't emphasize that enough. TJ Watt will win a game by himself.
Right. So
of course, you could argue he already did that against Cincinnati.
This is the thing. At the end of the year, let me look back at the standings right now and just see where teams are, where their footing is right now. The Panthers are at 1-5. Clearly I think they're worse than Houston at this point in time.
I agree with that. I think
so.
They're the most broken team for sure.
Raiders are 1-4. They can clearly get better than that.
Yeah, the Raiders are probably going to end up close to 500-ish.
The Commanders are 2-4.
They're going to get stupid wins.
They're also I was just going to say that they're a stupid win team. The Lions are 1-4. The Bears are 2-4.
Wait, that means the Lions are coming off their bye.
Yes, they are.
Oh, they're winning then.
Panthers are 1-5. Saints are 2-5. Like I told you, the Saints are secretly bad.
They are, but they'll be better with Winston.
Potentially, yes. They're, like I said, they're secretly bad, but they're a team that once they have all their weapons back, could
Dude,
turn
Olave
some,
looks good.
I
like
turn some
Olave.
wins in. I think the Bears, when we look at the Bears schedule, the Bears defense is pretty decent. But they're looking at Patriots, Cowboys, Dolphins, Lions, Falcons, Jets, Packers, Eagles, Bills, Lions, Vikings. I realistically don't see another win on the Bears schedule.
They're going to split with Detroit.
Disagree. I don't see unless they can beat.
All right, so say they do that. Do they give up on Fields?
Yeah. If the Bears can't win another game, or if by like the 13th week in the season, it's looking like they're not, I would say ideally so the city of Chicago desperately wants Justin Fields to work out.
Oh yeah.
But the way that their lineup is constructed, it's not constructed in a way that Justin Fields can be successful. And we talked about this when we were talking about a couple different teams, is that you play to your player's strength. And obviously Justin Fields' strengths are still like, I can't even tell what they are.
Oh, he's not accurate.
He's not accurate.
He's not a Lamar runner.
And he doesn't have wide receivers that want to go over the middle of the field to make his plays look better either. Like,
dude, that Thursday night game against Washington was so
like
good.
Darnell Mooney, Equimina St. Brown, whoever else they have on the roster, Cole Kmet, they are not a team built for whatever quarterback that Justin Fields is. Now, David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert are pulling his butt out of every single problem that he's having in this season. That defense is saving him from another disaster of a season. Chicago is probably the team that I would say, I mean, there is a lot of other teams, but they're a team that really needs to find their identity, because Justin Fields is such a young quarterback still that I'm not going to take another Ohio State quarterback, because it's essentially the same system, and you just took an Ohio State quarterback.
Yeah.
And a Saban quarterback plays in a different style system, I guess, but a Saban quarterback is used to having weapons, just like an Ohio State quarterback is used to having weapons. And if I'm the Bears and I wanted to keep Justin Fields on my roster, I have to get him weapons. I have to trade pieces to get him weapons. Like, it's not enough in this league, in this day and age of the league, to have a great defense or a passable defense or a good defense and not have weapons on the other side of the ball. Like, if Justin Fields can't advance the ball more than, like, I mean, I think his highest passing yards total was like 180 or something like that.
Yeah, this is the thing that they kept selling, that they're going to have the most off-season money entering this off-season. But great. My question is, what receiver's going to want to go there? No, I mean, Lamar Jackson's, as much as I don't like him, a much better quarterback than Fields, and people are running away from being in Baltimore.
That's the
who's going to sign in Chicago?
That Baltimore is one of those teams where you need to find an identity. And historically speaking,
they do have an identity. Blowing fourth quarter leads. It's great.
Right. But if you look at both of those teams, historically speaking, the Ravens and the Bears are both teams whose identity is defense.
Yeah.
And the offense that they've been opportunistic stuffing defenses as well, where the defense has been scoring points. Well, if your defense isn't scoring points and you can't advance the ball, or you only have one way to advance the ball, when you get time against actually a good team or a good defense that monopolizes or takes away that one weapon that you have, you're done. So any teams that can stop the run, the Bears will not score anything. They might get a field goal. They might even get a touchdown, but like it's not like a good touchdown.
It's going to be an unders type. So you said New England's playing Chicago, right?
New England's playing Chicago.
That's going to be the game he runs up the score against. He always does it once a year where he just blows someone out like by 30 or more.
I mean, I think he did it with Detroit too.
He did do it with Detroit. Detroit didn't score at all. That was weird.
Yeah.
That New England defense is like should not be good.
So
this goes back to what you said on Tuesday. He's a good conductor with bad instruments.
Yeah. If you put Bill Belichick as the coach of the Chicago Bears,
they're 500.
That team is okay. He'll find a way to make that work.
Oh yeah, because there's no way he's not more talented than Zappy.
No. And I mean Justin Fields, I mean, I don't like Ohio State. So I mean, I'm just gonna say that. I don't like Ohio State. But I don't understand how you can go from a pro style system. And this is the thing that bothers me the most about college football to NFL is that they say these quarterbacks are the most pro-ready quarterbacks. They've learned pro systems. They've had a coach that knows what they're doing. And yet, Zappy.
Yeah, from the big programs, unless I'm missing one here, there's only one of the major programs that consistently makes NFL quarterbacks, and that's Oklahoma. Murray's still in the league. Hurts is dominating. Mayfield was even good for a little bit, but clearly Mayfield's a personality shit show. But they got 2. They won 2 out of 3. Ohio State's nowhere near it.
Where's Mahomes from?
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, right? So you look at
it's all the off schools that are putting in people that are any good.
You look at the NFL. I'm just going to go to it right now, just as an example. Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. If I'm going with Sunday to Monday games, and I'm just looking at quarterbacks, and I look at the top of this list, I'm going Louisville, Texas Tech, LSU, Oregon, Alabama. Where did Derek Carr go to school? His brother went to Fresno.
That's a good question. Let's Google that one real quick. Doesn't know he spells Derek all weird, right?
I don't know.
He does.
Carr.
No, he does. I got yelled at for typing in wrong in one of our shorts.
Dak played for Mississippi State. Tom Brady, Michigan.
He went to California State.
Where?
Fresno.
Did he play for Fresno too?
He went to California State, Fresno. That's what it says here.
Okay. Goff, Cal.
Fresno State Bulldog.
Matt Ryan was Boston College, correct?
Yes, 100%.
Jimmy Garoppolo was... I don't remember. I don't know.
Got to Google that one now.
Mariota was Oregon. Trevor Lawrence was Clemson.
That's 2 Oregons, you said.
That's 2 Oregons. Rodgers, where did Rodgers go?
Rodgers went to Cal.
That's 2 Cal quarterbacks.
No, that's Cal normal.
Yeah,
not
Jared
Cal
Goff went to Cal too.
What was that?
Didn't Goff go to Cal?
I don't remember where Goff went.
I'm pretty sure Goff went to Cal.
Jimmy G is from Eastern Illinois University.
Eastern Illinois. Russell Wilson. We have NC State via Wisconsin.
There's a couple of via Wisconsins.
Daniel Jones, Duke. Geno Smith, West Virginia. Mitch Trubisky, North Carolina. Kenny Pickett, Pitt. Ryan Tannehill, no idea. Zappy, Western Kentucky. Mac Jones, Alabama. Jacoby Brissett, I think he was wasn't he Bowling Green or something like that?
You're all right. Goff did go to Cal.
Brissett's
went to from Mac.
NC State. Okay. So you look at all of those things, and nothing screams and tells me I have to have an Alabama or Ohio State quarterback, because when I look at Alabama and Ohio State quarterbacks, they have been so poorly coached in the NFL that we're way past our time now, but we're gonna finish this thought.
All right.
They are so poorly coached in the NFL that here's the issue, is that they have so much talent out on their college football team that when they step into the shoes of an NFL quarterback and they're drafted 1, 2, 5, 10, those teams are garbage unless they have traded for that pick. And when you ask a talented, young, most likely not the best personality player in the world, and you ask him to take over for a team that's dog water, and he can't find success like he found in college, his psyche is going to be so destroyed that it is going to take years and years and years to rebuild that psyche again. But if I go to Mississippi State and I take the best player from Mississippi State, like Dak Prescott, and I say, Dak, I know nobody really liked you. Nobody really looked at you. But guess what? Now you got a chip on your shoulder. Now you're playing with an elite talent. You're playing with elite
talent. This is my thing against the Big Ten in this regard.
And
there's never pressure on an Ohio State quarterback because there's no real pass rushers in. At least the SEC has 6 teams that have a chance at a first-round pass rusher coming off of them. And there's going to be pressure. The Ohio State guy can sit in the pocket for an hour and just wait for someone to get open.
And that's
they don't have that in the SEC.
They are so well coached with talent on the college football level that they don't have to be
disciplined.
This is why I think
we're technically correct.
Be successful is they don't have the like you said, they don't have the pressure on them. They have to perform. They have to keep up that performance standard, but they're not making the mistakes that these guys at Mississippi State.
No, they're not getting consequences for the mistakes the guy in Mississippi State's making.
Exactly. But their consequence for their mistakes is less because the defenses play much better and the defenses come in and they're like,
okay, the Michigan State defense is nowhere near as good as the Auburn defense. And they're both the middle of the road teams for their respective conferences.
And if you look at the last Auburn quarterback to really be successful was Cam Newton.
Cam Newton.
He did it for fairly a long time, doing what we knew he could do, but
he was used to the pressure.
But exactly, he was used to the pressure. But Justin Fields, he's not used to it, and he's not adjusting to it, and because he's never had to, he never like.
No one ever gets close to an Ohio State quarterback.
The biggest pass rush coming out of Penn State plays every year is Michigan and Penn State, and usually they have decent pass rushes for some reason or a decent defense, but because the talent, like if I'm Justin Fields,
it's not decent.
If I'm Justin Fields and I'm passing to Olave and like 3 other first round guys, or if I'm Tua,
Dotson was there, right?
What?
Dotson was with him, right?
Yeah. If I'm Tua and I'm passing to 3 elite level talents, plus I have Najee Harris behind me, of course I am not going to be able to. Tua can't process. You have to be well coached. You have to be able to process. And the reason why I don't care about a first round quarterback is that we have seen the last quarterback, I think, to be drafted number 1 overall that I would even consider to be a guy I would take would be Eli Manning.
Yeah, you got to go back a while for that.
And there's probably other guys that you would want to take, but if we look at
you don't want Baker
right now.
Tell you that you don't want Baker.
You look at that draft. It had Eli, who was the guy?
Rivers and Ben. It was Eli, Rivers, and Ben.
All 3 of those guys came from schools where you had to earn your keep. And not saying that Alabama, you don't have to earn your keep, but there's more of there's people chomping at the bit behind you, but you're going to get a chance every week. But if Eli Manning would have screwed up at Mississippi, replace him.
Well, I'm not saying it's the replace him element. I'm saying that when you're at Ohio State, there is no pass rusher getting near you. At Alabama, no, to me, that's the bigger issue. That's the problem with the Ohio State quarterbacks, because there's no defense that can get close to an Ohio State quarterback until they play in their bowl game and they lose. I mean, in the SEC, there's at least a chance. But Tua, and this is going to be, I guess, the last thing of the day here. I really hope they don't play Tua. He is a slow processor on his best day. And if they bring him in there out of concussion with a TJ Watt-led defense, I legitimately worry for Tua's safety in that, because he's a slow processor. And this defense was able, with their 9th cornerback, keep Tom Brady from moving the field. They're going to be able to slow down Tyreek Hill, who's already in an air cast, and Waddle, who has a torn hamstring. You're going to be able to slow down this Miami pass rush, and dude is already a deer in the headlights. He could get messed up, and there's no way justifying putting him back on the field. And I would like to worry for him.
With you before we go off air.
All right.
These are the quarterbacks drafted number 1 overall.
Okay.
Now, this is discounting Justin Herbert, who was drafted
5th.
Pick 6. I'm only taking quarterbacks drafted number 1 overall.
Gotcha.
You have Trevor Lawrence.
He's starting to look like he might not be the real deal.
Joey B. Jury's still out, but it's pretty good.
Joey B. All right.
Kyler Murray.
I'm not on the fence with him too.
Baker.
Definitely not.
Goff.
And we're getting back to might be on the fence.
Also, sneaky thing here, drafted to that draft was Carson Wentz. Take that, North Dakota State. Jameis Winston in 2015.
Oh, get some crab legs.
Then you had Andrew Luck, 2012.
That was legit, dude. You would have taken him.
I would have.
All day, every day. Yeah, I'm saying you would have taken him all day, every day.
Cam Newton.
Scam Newton.
Sam Bradford.
That was a waste.
Matt Stafford.
Well, he's the best quarterback in Detroit history.
Wow. Matt Ryan was drafted the year before Matt Stafford.
And both of their arms are dying. That makes sense.
Jamarcus Russell.
Jamarco.
Alex Smith. Eli Manning.
Smith wasn't that bad. He just got hurt.
No, but also you have in there Aaron Rodgers was drafted 24th. I'm just gonna read to you the guys that are still in the league that were like drafted in the first round here. None of those.
Come on. There's only 2 quarterbacks, maybe 3 quarterbacks in the league that weren't drafted in the first round. It's Hurts, Denver with Wilson, and New England, whatever the hell New England's doing, and Mills. The rest of them are all first round picks.
So Matt Stafford,
Jimmy G was
none of the quarterbacks from 2010 are still in the league.
That was 13 years ago.
All 14 rounds. Yeah, but Matt Ryan is from the other round. 2011, Andy Dalton is still in the league, but he was drafted in the 5th round. Ryan Tannehill, Texas A&M, was drafted in the 3rd round. No, wait. No, he was drafted in the 1st round.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Carr was drafted in the 4th round or 2nd round.
Yeah, that sounds more right.
Geno Smith was drafted in the 2nd round by the Jets in 2013. So he's been around for a while. Him and Ryan Tannehill. Brissett was drafted in the 3rd round by the Patriots in the same year that Carson Wentz and Goff went in the 1st. Patrick Mahomes was drafted in the 1st round. In 2017, Mitch Trubisky drafted number 2 overall. That's a little disappointing. Mason Rudolph, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, all drafted in 2018. All have seen some of the field. Daniel Jones drafted 6th overall in 2009. I mean, when we look back at all these quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts was drafted in the 2nd round. Yeah. And Justin Fields was drafted. I mean, 2021 saw Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, all drafted in the 1st round. And I cannot tell you enough how you wouldn't, out of all of those quarterbacks, right? The guy in the best situation is Mac Jones. Because he's with a coach that cares.
Well, they all care. He's just capable.
I disagree. I mean, you might have a job, but you might not really care.
It's like Tom Brady. Is that where we're at
totally
right now?
Possible. You could just be You could just be going through the.
We're going full circle on our 2 fantasy shows here, Bob, and ending with some Tom Brady hate.
Like I said, Tom is going to turn it around, but he cannot act like Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I saw the craziest gift of Aaron Rodgers. I think I sent it to you, where he was like going like this. And it was like what Aaron Rodgers thinks of when he thinks about DJ Moore. Like, I mean, come on. Like,
dude, Bob, I told you this after week 1. It is yet to change. Aaron Rodgers is acting like a very disappointed stepfather, and he just wants out.
I know. I understand he wants, but I mean,
he wants his money, and that's why he's going to stay.
You know,
I think it makes him a whore.
Here's the thing. Like, going back to our point, is that Chicago, if they submarine their season to get the number 1 overall pick, that pick will still suck.
Well, yeah.
So I don't see why. And Carolina, same thing goes for them. They have not hit on a quarterback since Cam Newton, and they are up there with the Browns on the most quarterbacks played over the last like 5 years. So you can't. I mean, they have going for that number 1 overall pick, like Dave said. You have Malik Willis, who you picked from Liberty. You have three 1st-round quarterbacks on your roster, and you are blaming everybody, but the personnel decision makers. Like, I mean, like, Matt Rule was finally fired, yes, but like, how? I mean, how do you have 4 quarterbacks on your roster and you can't pick the right one out of the 4 for your team? It drives me up a wall.
That's a very simple answer. They all suck.
I get it, but it's not going to mean that CJ Stroud is going to suck any less, or that the guy from Alabama is going to suck any less, because there's no team. They don't have a team. They have a defense, maybe, but they don't have an offense.
Hard to fight you, Bob. All right, on that note, we're going to say it was a fun episode. Thank you guys, everyone out there who was watching. You guys have a great rest of your day, and we're going to be out. Enjoy those games this week.
Peace.